British road trip movie is a sorely underexplored genre. There's so much cultural diversity across Britain that would perfectly suit this type of film, but for whatever reason, it's a niche generally left untouched. Fortunately, Black Dog is proof that this melding of grassroots British cinema and road trip narrative structure absolutely works. It's tender, driven exclusively by great characterisation and powerful performances, and well worth checking out. Black Dog follows two teenage Londoners on the cusp of adulthood. There's Nathan, played by Jamie Flatters, who also co-writes, a child of the care system finding himself unmotivated and at a loose end, and Sam, played by Keenan Munn Francis, who struggles with bullying, mental illness and an eating disorder. After a chance encounter while Sam is mugged one night, the two end up on a road trip out of London and up north, confiding in one another tenderly along the way. It's a setup that unravels in a very satisfying way across the 90-minute runtime, with director and co-writer George Jock knowing exactly when to reveal more about each character. For example, the film doesn't immediately make it clear why Sam, with his father's permission, drives all the way to Scotland, so when that reveal does come at the end of the film, it's at a point where we're invested enough in these characters for it to really pay off. Black Dog is a two-hander in every sense of the phrase, completely anchored by the two leads, their individual performances, and the chemistry between them. They couldn't really be more different characters. Nathan is cocky, rough around the edges but undeniably charming, and Sam is vulnerable, tender, and reluctant to open up to anyone. One thing Black Dog excels in is its presentation of these characters as flawed and at times hard to root for, but that's exactly the point. After all, these are teenagers on the cusp of adulthood, both of whom have serious trauma and personal issues that the film does unpack in quite a nice way. It's refreshing to see them mess up, behave poorly, make bad decisions, and then deal with the moral ramifications of what they've done. There's one particular narrative swing towards the third act of the film that's a bit harder to stick with, one that is bound to prove contentious and I wasn't completely sold in, but that's kind of the point really. My main issue was that it led to Flatters' performance as Nathan, which was previously completely anchored by his boyish charm, his flaws, but still that undeniable sense of magnetism, and he loses that a little bit. What it does do so well is give these characters and their performers a lot of time to breathe. So much of the film is set in one car, so all the dialogue is taking place in one setting and one scenario, and it forces Nathan and Sam to confront each other, dissect their issues, and also grow closer. It's not only a credit to the writing, which is fantastic, but also the behind-the-camera work as well, because it relies so much on natural light during these extensive driving sequences, and the blocking needs to be right to get a varied set of camera angles in this stuffy car and this very enclosed set. It's contrasted by scenes where the boys get up to mischief and have a laugh, points where you remember that actually these are young adults on the cusp of entering a world that they don't quite gel with. There are some really beautiful scenes watching their friendship blossom as they frolic in the sea, open up to one another, and it carries a real poignancy and even sometimes hints at a Moonlight-style sense of romantic tension. It's important to see them forget their troubles, however briefly, to enjoy the wryly funny banter between them and revel in being young, because it's a repose these characters sorely deserve. Black Dog is a dark film, but the emotional payoff behind it all is more than worth those tougher sequences. It covers a lot of heavy subjects, but does so in a sensitive, gentle way that humanises these characters every step of the way. Again, thanks in huge part to two different but very convincing leads. It's one of the most tender and very best British films of the year so far, and is well worth experiencing for its wonderful character development and novel concept. We give Black Dog 4 stars, and you can check it out on Apple TV and Amazon on August the 19th, 2024.